Hey everyone, welcome to Ajay and Nathan Discuss Movies, a show in which we discuss movies both old and new. Today we don't have a new movie that we're discussing for this week. Instead, it is our annual State of the Film Address.
Fourth annual
State of the Film Address presented by Kia.
Kia. Summer sales event.
And the winter, yes. But yes, we are discussing the State of the Film Address. And if those of you who aren't aware of the State of the Film Address, it is a recap of this year in film. The good, the not so good, and the downright horrible. And this year we've decided to switch it up. Usually we just discuss movies we watched over the past year, but since we've had a show in which we discuss movies on a weekly basis, we thought it'd be a little bit fun to change up the segments a little bit and make it more fun, interactive for the both of us. Yeah. So Nathan, before we get into our movies that we'll be discussing, how did you feel about this year in film?
This year was weird. It was a strange kind of year. This was, I think, one of the first years where we don't have like big, mega, long-running franchises like hitting theaters, but we are seeing that in the absence of that, like your superheroes and your DC, like with those not in the theaters, it feels as though this year was a lot of studios scrambling for like, what IPs do we have? And that's why I feel like we saw a lot of like sequels to things that we haven't thought of in years, like Gladiators and Beetlejuice, Twisters, prequels and sequels. A lot of that, it felt like a weird like test year for Hollywood. Like, well, everyone's kind of taken a big break from the summer franchises, so like, what do we have that people know? And I think that led to just a lot of kind of weird movies coming out, but that's not to be said that like nothing good was coming out, because I think there was a lot of really good movies, a lot of new directors coming out, new visions, a lot of creative films that we will speak of deeper into the podcast. But this was kind of a strange little year for movies, I feel.
I was going to say strange little year as well. Because what were the highest grossing films of this year? Do you know off the top of your head? I know Deadpool.
Obviously, yeah. No, they came back swinging with that. I can't think of anything else. I know Alien Romulus made a lot of money, but again, that is another like sequel.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I think this is a year in which we'll look back at and be like, all right, this was not that important of a year in film. That's not to say that the films were bad. Obviously, we're going to include some of the films that we really love, our top 5 films of the year, later on in this show. But it did feel like a year in which studios were just struggling to figure out what works.
Yeah,
and they were just willing to throw anything against the wall and see what stuck.
Yeah, that definitely, yeah, that feels right. It just very strange. Very strange. Do better.
Do better.
Do 2025. Do better.
Yeah. All right. So we've discussed our overall thoughts on the year in film. Before we get into our honorable mentions and before we get into our top 5 films of the year, as we've created our own list, what are some of our dishonorable mentions in film of this year? Nathan, you'll start.
I will start. I'll start with one that came out. Rebel Moon, the Rebel Moon movies that Zack Snyder made. I don't know why I watched these. I watched them high with a friend. We thought we could at least laugh, but you can't laugh for 4 hours straight across 2 director's cuts. Someone stop Zack Snyder. He is a monster and should not be allowed to make movies anymore.
All right, what else? What else do you have?
What else have I got? Let's see here. The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. That's the Guy Ritchie movie.
Was that the Magical Negroes movie? That's the name of an actual movie, by the way.
I know that's a movie that came out. Nope. Okay. It's not that. If it was, that's what I would have said. But nope, it's the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. This is a movie with a really great cast that is wasted on just kind of sauceless filmmaking. It's a very kind of boring movie. which is sad for a movie about like a special ops team killing Nazis. Unfortunately, quite dull. Keep going?
Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, Godzilla X Kong. Noise. This movie is just loud noise. That's it. Madam Web, I watched this. Moving on.
I watched Kraven the Hunter as well.
You did? How was it? Anyway, Immaculate. The more I think about Immaculate, we reviewed this on the podcast, but the more I think about it, the more bored I get.
That's our pull quote for the movie.
That is. Mean Girls the musical.
You watched it.
I did. I watched this on a date with my girlfriend. It was fine. It's not great. Just watch the original Mean Girls. That's really all I have to say. Kinds of Kindness. Disappointing. Joker 2. Folié Deux. Pretentious horse.
All right. And wrapping it up.
Fall Guy.
Yeah.
Those are my dishonorable mentions.
All right, dishonorable mentions. Most of these films were actually discussed on the pod. So
excellent.
If you want to hear my thoughts more fleshed out in detail, go watch other episodes. They're all on YouTube. But the first one actually isn't on YouTube. Kinds of Kindness was one of my most disappointing films of the year.
Yeah.
There's that song where it's like, do my nails, do my hair.
That's a good song.
Yeah, it should be retitled, Do My Nails, Do My Hair. I steal from Lars von Trier because I'm a hack. So. Oh,
bars.
Bars right there, dude. I remember seeing me rap last episode. I was like, this is going to be in the pod, dude. This is going to stay in the pod. So yeah, Kinds of Kindness, 2 thumbs down. Too long, too bloated. And yeah. MaXXXine also. Very disappointed about the film. Yeah. I was very disappointed about this film, mainly because I enjoyed X and I enjoyed Pearl, and I thought MaXXXine really could do something in a way that could explore the boundaries of what those two films did, but it just fell short. It was rather conventional, and that's kind of an issue. So MaXXXine also, Alien Romulus, I felt was a very disappointing film. Obviously, if you want to hear more of my thoughts, go listen to me and Nathan review that film. He liked it. Me, liked it. Not so much. I felt as if they were just rehashing things that occurred in the series without really doing anything new or interesting, and it kind of left a sour taste in my mouth. I'm not gonna lie. Alien Romulus, Joker Folié Deux. Is there really anything we need to explain about that movie?
No, we don't.
It's very much a vanity project in which no one really enjoyed the vanity project. It was a project in which didn't need to be made, and we are very regretful for watching it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. For once in my life. Okay, Megalopolis, I was a little bit disappointed by it. Now, here's the thing. Will I watch the film in the future? Absolutely, because there's a lot of funny in it. But given the names attached to this project, I kind of wanted it to be a bit more subversive, a bit more experimental, and really hone in on that.
I mean, I would say it is subversive.
It is.
In the sense that you thought you were going to see something good, subverts your expectations, and it's terrible.
Yeah. And last movie, a movie that we also watched and discussed in the pod, The Watchers. I was very disappointed by it because of the fact that it is attached to a Shyamalan. And I thought that, hey, it's the daughter of M. Night Shyamalan, so maybe there will be differences in like the script, or maybe there will be differences in which the movie plays out. But no, it's by the lines, like a typical Shyamalan film, which is not to say that it's a bad Shyamalan film. I just felt disappointed by it. And yeah, so that's it. Those are my most disappointed. Most of the films we discussed in the pod, but I knew Nathan would come in with movies that we didn't discuss. Yeah. So I thought, okay, might as well just briefly address those movies. So yeah, those are our most disappointed. Obviously, there are more. but we kind of
plenty more.
There are plenty more, but we cut for time. So that is our most disappointed. Obviously, if you feel differently, let us know.
Let us know. We want to hear your opinions.
We want to hear
even
your
if they're
opinions.
stupid. We want to hear them.
Absolutely. And let's get into our honorable mentions.
Honorable mentions. Oh, yay. Good stuff.
Movies that we liked, that we want to include in our top 5, but because we only have 5 films to discuss or to put in, we decided to put in our honorable mention. So, Nathan, you go first.
I'm going to start. Megalopolis is an honorable mention.
Okay.
My character arc for 2024 has been going from a hater to a lover for Megalopolis. It truly is so bad that it's good. It's incoherent, messy, and stupid, and I love every single solitary second of it. I implore everyone to watch Megalopolis if they can. Next up, I've got Sasquatch Sunset. This came out kind of early into 2024. It's Jesse Eisenberg, Riley Keough, and they're dressed like Sasquatches doing disgusting Sasquatch things. This was another date movie. She absolutely hated it. I loved it. Then
I'm excited for the new Jesse Eisenberg movie that's out right now with Kieran Culkin.
Oh, A Real Pain?
Yeah. Have you watched it yet or no?
I have not watched it yet, but I hear good things. I would like
I'm excited
to
for
check
that.
it out.
Jesse Eisenberg is a very underrated actor that I think deserves more.
I shockingly really like him a lot, too. And then Hundreds of Beavers. This is a movie that was, I think, initially released at like a film festival in 2022. I think it's only just now kind of hit everywhere, like streaming. A fantastic movie, Hundreds of Beavers. It is in the style of like an old, like 1920s, 1930s silent film. It is hilarious, imaginative, creative, and again, I just recommend everyone watch it. If you're into movies, have an interest in films and filmmaking, Hundreds of Beavers is absolutely fantastic. Let's see, what else have I got here? Love Lies Bleeding, we talked about it on the pod. Blink Twice, talked about it on the pod. Cuckoo, I still like Cuckoo. You talked about it on the pod. The First Omen, I want to give a big shout out to because I did not really like Immaculate, but I think The First Omen, especially for being like a legacy prequel sequel, does so much and is so unique and terrifying. The lead performance is stellar from that actress. I think her name is Nell Tiger Free. Weird hippie name, but she's absolutely like magnetic in the lead role. Highly recommend The First Omen. I'm gonna just run off 3. They made a new Hellboy movie. Did you hear about this?
No.
They made a new Hellboy. It is ultra low budget. I think it was made mostly just to keep the rights, kind of. But if you're a fan of Hellboy, I think it's not bad. It feels like a good first episode to a Hellboy television series, which they're good and bad in that, but overall, very enjoyable. Oddity was a horror film, supernatural horror film, very slow burn, slow moving, but I think paced so well and just very scary. And then finally, a movie called Arcadian, which is a Nick Cage movie, another very low budget horror film. The direction of it is kind of, you can tell it's very amateurish, but it has some really kind of cool monster designs that are just so out of left field and strange that I think it's worth watching for those alone. And those are a couple of my honorable mentions for this year.
Awesome. So there's a bunch of films that we didn't discuss.
Yeah.
So if you want to check out those movies, definitely go
But
check
they
them out.
deserve your attention.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm surprised you didn't mention Longlegs. That was an honorable mention for me. Obviously, we discussed in the pod. But Longlegs is a movie that I really enjoyed. I didn't include it in my top 5. I feel like it's a movie that had a lot of buzz when it was in the theater. And then when it got dumped to streaming afterwards, that's where the hype kind of died down. And I do think that if you watch it on rewatch, there are more issues with the film than on the initial watch. That's not to say it's a bad movie. It's just a movie that kind of slipped out of my top 5 because of that reason. Blink Twice I loved a lot.
Oh, yeah.
I love that movie so much. Zoe Kravitz has proven that she's a great director, and I'm excited to see what else she's cooking up with. The Bike Riders. I love the Bike Riders. I really enjoyed it. It's literally aimless. Is it fine if I say aimless?
It's fine. Yeah, no, it's
an
cool
aimless,
if the movie's just a vibe,
meandering movie that's purely based on vibes. But Austin Butler has shown that he is going to be like a future like Brad Pitt acolyte in a lot of ways. And I think this movie sort of cemented that. I'm excited to see what's going to cook, what he's going to cook up with Luca Guadagnino.
Oh,
when he makes American Psycho.
American Psycho, sure.
We're going to see it. I'm probably not going to watch the movie because I have so much reverence for the original, but we'll see how that plays out. You're going to hate this.
Go ahead.
Unfrosted.
Unfrosted. Listen, I put Megalopolis as an honorable mention. This is the same wheelhouse,
same wavelength, same vibe. I think this movie has an admirable quality to it, which is that it's attempting to make you feel something. Whatever it is, it's attempting to make you feel something. When you see the talking ravioli, you're just like, this is art, When you see all this, cereal mascots do their own January 6th, it is a vibe. And when you're describing the movie, as Dan Doherty, our great friend Dan Doherty would say, when you're describing the movie, it sounds funny. But when you watch it, it's not that funny. So, Unfrosted, I think that there was something going on with the movie. I don't know what, but there was something going on. And for some reason,
something going on.
Like a Pop-Tart, it just sticks with you. We don't know how, we don't know why, but for some reason, it just sticks with you. It's in the back of the cabinet. It's dusty. It's collecting mold and dust and cockroaches and all that, but it's there. And it's there for you to look at and to glare. And those are my honorable mentions. Obviously, awesome. Wicked as well. I would even say Gladiator 2. I think Gladiator 2, the more I sit with that film, the more I like it. I actually prefer it over the original. I do.
I'll let you have that.
Yeah.
I do want to mention one thing I didn't mention in my honorable mentions. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
I completely forgot that came out like The First Omen. I think for a big sequel and a major franchise, it keeps things very fresh and has a very immersive world. It's well directed, looks beautiful. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Just want to mention that very quickly.
Awesome. And without no further ado, our top 5 films of the year.
Top 5.
Before we begin our list, we want to say that we're filming this a week before Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
So a bunch of movies that are going to go out in the theaters during Christmas time, we will not be able to watch because we're filming this a week before Christmas. So our apologies to Nosferatu, The Brutalist, Baby Girl, and A Complete Unknown. We haven't watched those films yet, but once we do, we will revise our list and we'll change it if those films are worthy to be
we
in
will
our
come
top
back
5.
here and re-record the entire thing.
Sure. Sure. So heading into our top 5 movies of the year list, let's go into our entry number 5. So Nathan, take it away. What is your 5th best movie of 2024?
I mean, well, there's a reason it wasn't on my honorable mentions. That's because it's Longlegs. It's my number 5 for the year. I agree that I think the hype was very big around this movie, and then once it came out, it kind of diminished and was kind of used against the movie. I guess it did not reach people's expectations, but I've rewatched it a few times, and I still really love it. I love the atmosphere, the performances. It's just such a strange, quirky little movie. Oz Perkins, I cannot wait to see what he does next. He does have a movie coming out next year called The Monkey that I'm excited to see. He just has such a really unique style and vibe to him, and I just really love Longlegs. It has held up upon rewatch with me.
Awesome. My 5th is none other than Monkey Man, directed by Dev Patel. I love this movie a lot. We watched it in the theaters together back in Showcase.
So good.
This was a great movie. I loved it a lot. I think one of the reasons why I like this movie a lot is the visuals are great, the acting is amazing, and the fact that it was saved from streaming. I think that was perfect. I thought Jordan Peele did a great move to pull this movie from Netflix and to to put it out on the big screen.
Give it a real theatrical release.
Give it a real theatrical release. Thank you, Nathan, for saving me for that. But yeah, Dev Patel, this was his directorial debut, and I'm excited to see what's to come with him, because as a guy that shares the same culture and heritage as Dev Patel, we're both Gujarati. I really, really enjoyed his oomph to go that extra mile and to create a movie that is not only provocative, but is willing to make people fall in love with the character that he portrayed on screen. And to see it all play out and to see it fleshed out on the big screen was a triumph for people of my background. So,
yeah. Awesome.
Not to get gay about it at the end. But.
Get gay. Get a little.
All right. What is your fourth film?
My fourth is I Saw the TV Glow, directed by Jayne Schoenburn. I did not research how to pronounce her last name, but just a terrific movie. I did not get to see it in theaters, but I watched it once it hit streaming, and it's really stuck with me. If you see the trailers for it, it's like a coming-of-age horror film, but it's so much deeper than that on an emotional level. It is just such a devastating movie to watch, and the direction is just so perfect. It has this hazy kind of dreamlike quality to it that is very much reminiscent of a David Lynch kind of style, but never feels like it's like taking that, but it's so unique of a watch that I saw this year. It's barely horror. It's more like it goes deeper than that. It's like an emotional horror movie. It's like there isn't any scary monster or like supernatural force. It is just all about like your time on Earth as a person, and like, have you wasted this time that's been given and like missed out on all these opportunities? And that is just such a deeply like troubling thing for a movie, and just it works so well. Such a fever dream of a film. The soundtrack is just spectacular. I Saw the TV Glow.
Awesome. I Saw the TV Glow at number 4 for Nathan. My number 4th entry, the 4th best film of 2024 for me, was none other than Anora, directed by Sean Baker. I really love this film. This was a pleasant experience to watch in the theater. I watched this with a few others at my local theater. It wasn't packed, but they were attentive. It was hilarious. The laughs per minute were great. Mikey Madison, this is like her best role ever. Easily. And Sean Baker, I think that this is going to be the film that we look back on in his career being like, this was a transformative moment in his career. This was the film that really made him turn the corner. And obviously the performances are great, but more importantly than that, it was just a thoroughly entertaining watch.
Yeah.
At no point did it drag. At no point did it slow down. I think we mentioned Uncut Gems in our review when we discussed the movie.
Very tense.
Very tense. It was like, it didn't give you time to breathe. And I think that that's one of the highlights of the movie, is that it was just there the entire time. And it was amazing. It was incredible. I loved watching this movie. Anora is my 4th best movie of 2024.
Awesome. Nice. Now we're at our number 3.
Yes.
My number 3.
Nathan, what is your number 3?
My number 3 for this year is a movie called Rebel Ridge that is on Netflix. It is a streaming film, but my God, it deserved a theatrical release because it is fantastic. It's a film by Jeremy Saulnier. Again, I hope I say his name right. Director of Blue Ruin and Green Room, 2 movies I absolutely adore. And this is his next feature, Rebel Ridge. It is about an ex-Marine who's going to a town to get his cousin, like, post bail, get him out of prison, but he is assaulted by the local PD of that small town, and essentially decides to wage a one-man war against the entire like local police department. Has shades of like Rambo First Blood. That is a definite big kind of homage it's paying. If I can say one thing about this movie, it is the lead performance by Aaron Pierre, who you might know as Mid-Sized Sedan from M. Night Shyamalan's Old. He is this entire movie. His performance is so good. He has such a magnetic screen presence. He can swap so effortlessly between charismatic, between stoic, between threatening. This is his whole movie. He goes toe-to-toe with Don Johnson, who I always see in movies playing just the worst humans, but he excels at it. A fantastic action thriller that you can watch right now if you have a Netflix. Stream it. I highly recommend it if you want some like dirty like action and fighting and just a spectacular lead performance. Rebel Ridge is my number 3.
All right, my number 3, obviously, we mentioned this in the pod. This is one of our earlier reviews of this past year. Dune Part 2.
Dune Part 2.
Obviously, some lists will admit Dune Part 2. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. Directed by Denis Villeneuve. I thought this was the turning point. Not only, I keep using the word turning point, but in a lot of ways, this was a movie that was very atmospheric. The visuals were amazing. They were just stellar, and I think Chalamet in a lot of ways will be our generation's DiCaprio. I kind of see it. I can kind of see it. This guy is going to eventually win an Oscar, and
Has
I know
he not already?
No, not yet.
Oh wow!
But eventually, maybe with the Bob Dylan biopic, we don't know. But again, with Chalamet, what can be said about him that hasn't been said?
True.
He's great. He's a great actor. Zendaya was pretty okay in this movie. She was okay. But Rebecca Ferguson, I thought, stole the show in this movie.
Good.
She was amazing.
So
and
good.
I think one of the reasons why I really sort of resonated with this film is that in a lot of ways, like, this is kind of like our generation's like Star Wars, where the movies are great, it's getting critical acclaim, but it's also getting more people to be interested in film. And I don't know if the prequels necessarily did that for our generation. And I think this is our consolation prize for a rather unimpressive 3 films.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my number 3.
Dune Part 2.
Dune Part 2. I really enjoy it. I know some people may omit that from their list, but
Are you talking about me?
I'm just saying some people.
Some
people may omit that from the list.
Listen, it's good. We all know Dune Part 2 is like amazing. We know.
All right, number 2 for you, Nathan.
Number 2. The Substance. Oh my God. What's up?
I thought that was your number 1.
No, ooh, no. Boy, you know what my number 1 is, but my number 2
Are you going to punk me? Is this a whole episode of punked for me now?
It might be. I'm going to just say Megalopolis again for number 1.
Okay.
But no, The Substance is my number 2. This is such an unrelenting movie. Once it starts, it does not let up. Stylistically, it is so just off the hook. It is jam-packed with so many wild visuals and choices. Demi Moore is spectacular. Margaret Qualley is amazing. Dennis Quaid he's such a weird guy. And he's so weird in this movie. I'm convinced he wasn't even in the script. He showed up one day on set, started chomping on shrimp, and they just filmed it. Such an amazing, just visual spectacle. All 5 senses are going to be assaulted. I love The Substance so much.
Yeah. Good. That's good.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that's good. My top 2 movie of the year, my second best film of the year, is Civil War, directed by Alex Garland. I love this movie, and for a while, this was going to be my number 1. I'm not going to lie. This was going to be my number 1. It's a film that's about a future civil war that's happening in America, where a journalist is trying to go on a mission to to document the assassination of the president. And apparently, hijinks ensues from there. And it's a movie in which it's filmed very much like a guerrilla style footage film, but there's a lot of horror in this movie. And
it's terrifying.
Jesse Plemons Speaking of people that were just there on set that got casted, this is the by the numbers case of that, because he was on set. He's married to Kirsten Dunst, and Alex Garland's like, hey, put on some heart-shaped sunglasses, strap on a gun, and he stole the show. Just with those two things alone.
Hey, Jesse, you look scary. Do you want to be in my movie?
And that scene was horrifying. I mean, I remember watching this in a packed theater, and people were very scared when he gunned down that Asian. So, it's Alex Garland's Civil War is my number 2 film of the year. I love this film a lot. This was going to be my number 1. But another film stepped in place for that. So, right. Civil War by Alex Garland, my number 2 film of the year. And now, drum roll, please.
My other hand's holding the mic, so that just sounded weird.
That's a very flat drum roll. Nathan.
My number 1.
Your number 1 film of the year. Take it away.
My number 1 film of the year is Furiosa, a Mad Max saga directed by George Miller. I love this movie. I loved it from the first time I watched it, from every subsequent rewatch. I've rewatched it about 6 or 7 times, maybe more by now. It hits something in my lizard brain that just, I love the Mad Max movies. I love George Miller, and he still has it. I love the look of the movie, the world that it builds. It's a much different movie from Fury Road. It is not non-stop action. It is it's a slower film, but I love that. I love just being in this world with these characters. Just, it feels so fleshed out. Anya Taylor-Joy is so great in the lead role. But I think who steals the movie completely is Chris Hemsworth as Dr. Dementis. That is one of my favorite performances from the entirety of this year. He just goes so all out on this larger-than-life villain in the wasteland, steals every scene, chews the scenery like it's no one's business. It is just such a great movie that I will continue to keep watching, loving. It's my number 1. I love it so much. Furiosa.
Yeah. And my number 1 film of the year, drum roll please. What, is this an episode of Flagrant 2? Just us just hitting our knees? Okay. Number 1 film of the year is none other than The Substance, directed by Coralie Farjah. Obviously, I had to put The Substance in there. Really love this film. You mentioned Dennis Quaid, you mentioned Margaret Qualley and Demi Moore, but also I thought the visuals were impressive. When they get into that hallway and it reminds us of The Shining by Stanley Kubrick, I thought that was impressive. The overall execution of this film was amazing. It's a horror film, but it slowly devolves into this horror comedy, especially with that third act where blood is being sprayed everywhere like it's Freddy Got Fingered. It is a film that you have to watch, that you have to see to believe. It is amazing, and yeah, it is deserving of everyone's end of the year list because it's that great. Yeah. Once you watch it for the first time, it's hard to not forget it.
Exactly. Your life is just before The Substance and then after The Substance. That's what it does.
Yes.
Nice.
So those are our top 5 films of the year.
Those are our top 5.
That is a wrap-up of the year.
The year.
And
we did it.
Yeah, another year's down.
There it is.
Now, obviously, as we mentioned before, it may change. So stick around for future episodes.
Yeah.
If Nosferatu or Baby Girl, or even say
A Complete Unknown.
The Brutalist. If any of those films are great, we'll revise it and change it, and we'll let you know. You'll be the first to know. But heading into 2025, Nathan.
Yeah.
What are you feeling? What are you expecting? Are you excited?
Here's the thing. There aren't a lot of movies slated for 2025 that I'm really hyper aware of or that I really am very excited for. I can't think of a lot. I haven't seen much. There's the Oz Perkins movie, The Monkey. I'm excited to see that. There's also Lee Winnell is doing a remake or like his own version of The Wolfman after he did The Invisible Man. I am excited for that, but beyond that, I feel like I haven't seen much for movies in the next year. Unless I'm missing something like major, there's just not much that I don't think I'm aware of to look forward to in 2025. I mean, unless
I don't know about looking forward to, but we do have the new Captain America Braveheart movie. I don't know if that's the name of it, but Brave New World movie. Maybe that's what it's called. But I'm not excited for that, but I know it's a thing.
It is you get to see the Hulk.
The Hulk?
Red Hulk.
Oh, Red Hulk.
He's like the Hulk, but red.
But yeah, overall, I don't know what to expect with the new year.
Yeah.
I really don't. I don't. I mean, obviously there are a few horror movies in January, February that I assume will not be that great.
Yeah, January and February used to be a dump month.
Yeah.
But now it's weird because streaming and COVID has kind of changed everything. Like, you can't just dump a movie into theaters because it's not going to make money, kind of regardless of whether it's good or not. Because, like, prices are just insane in the theaters, and, like, people just aren't going out to the movies anymore. So I feel like they're going to have to step up their game, essentially, if they really want butts and seats.
I mean, but people say, "Oh, movie theaters are dying," but like we saw the success of Wicked, we saw the success of these films, Deadpool and Wolverine. As much as it's unoriginal and all that, we've seen the success of these movies. So I don't understand this, like, where this idea comes from that movie theaters are dying.
Well, I think because those movies are like big events.
Yeah,
like Wicked is a big event. It already has like an ingrained kind of fan base, just like Deadpool and Wolverine. But I mean, I don't know, like The Brutalist, that I'm sure it's going to be good, but I don't think it's going to smash the box office.
Of course not. But again, it's like, it's to be expected.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to make a film of that nature, where it's very niche of a genre and of a time period, you're going to expect it not making as much money as you think it's going to, as compared to, say, a horror film or a superhero movie.
No, you're right.
So I think in a lot of ways, like, when I hear movie theaters are dying, I kind of have to disagree with that.
Okay.
I don't think movie theaters are dying. I think it's just the lack of the audience understanding what a good movie is.
True. I go back to when we saw Bad Boys Ride or Die. I was in a packed theater with a bunch of yuppies chortling and laughing at everything Will Smith said. That is the moment I knew we lived in a dying civilization.
That's when I realized that there's a different world out there. And when we say yuppies, we don't mean like business professional Patrick Bateman yuppies. We mean like fully like Big Bang Theory, Young Sheldon watching, like those kind of gargoyles. I think gargoyles.
Gargoyle.
I think gargoyle is a better word for that. But yeah, overall, I mean, I'm expecting more or less the same as this year for next year, which maybe that kind of puts a damper on things. I don't know. This year was actually not that bad in the grand scheme of things, but it wasn't one of the more memorable years in film.
It definitely felt like a year of like peaks and valleys. Like, we had really high highs, we had dunes, and we had substances. We had those high highs, but then we had lows. Madam Web, Kraven,
Venom, The Last Dance.
Oh, that came out too.
Delicious. Yeah. Very bad movie, Eddie Brock. Okay. That's my Venom impression.
It was pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good. So overall, I don't know what to expect with the new year.
Yeah, no, it's we just have to wait and see.
Yeah. But we are going to say this. We're renewed for a new year.
We did it. They brought us back.
We don't know who brought us back.
The studio. Lorne Michaels is our producer now.
Yeah, Lorne Michaels is our producer. You know, the right wing comedians on YouTube are our producers now.
We're grifters now.
Yeah, we're going to talk about trans people for 3 hours.
By Alpha Brain.
Yeah, go watch Joe Rogan. No, don't.
Don't.
Go watch The Substance. Go watch Furiosa. Those are better use of your time than, say, watching the Joe Rogan podcast where you see a guy on TRT talk about trans people for 3 hours. But anyways, I think that's it for us.
That's it for us.
It's
another year in the bag.
This is another year. I was going to wear a suit to the show. But I was like,
Said he wore that dapper denim jacket.
Yeah. Daniel Desario from Freaks and Geeks kind of vibes here.
I haven't washed this shirt in 3 weeks.
Really?
That's what I wore.
All right. That's it for us. Stick around for new episodes in the new year. Who knows? Maybe we'll come back not next week because next week is Christmas, but the week after and talk about the new films. Yeah, Nosferatu. I'm down for December 31st Nosferatu episode. I'm down.
We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see. I'll be playing with my presents.
December 30th? 29th?
Earlier? Why do you keep going backward? Christmas Day?
Christmas Day. No. But we will be watching Nosferatu, and we will definitely be reviewing the film because we do love Robert Eggers.
We do.
And yes. Overall, that's it for us.
That's it.
Our special 2024 State of the Film Address. We made it. We passed another year.
We did it.
And we're excited to see what's to come. Not only with movies, but in particular with our own podcast as well. All right. Bye.